Kaboom!
Welcome back. This is episode
14.
Sure. Is it?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. All right. Of the AIB
I was
show.
questioning myself, and then you have to freaking go and ask me that.
I mean, I wasn't doing all the maths, dog.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's episode 14, apparently, of the AIB show. Welcome back, everybody. This is Amit.
This is Dominic. If you've been riding with us, thank you very much. So why don't we do this? Let's have a call to action right now.
Okay. But he's catching me off guard here, too. Okay.
Whilst you listen, consider rating and reviewing the show if you listen to Apple Podcasts, right? And if you haven't liked us on Facebook, followed us on Instagram, go do that now. Take 30 seconds. Do that all.
Probably take less than that, actually, which
Probably,
is good.
Yes.
Is good.
It takes 5 seconds.
There you go.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Do it. Thank you. We're waiting. All right, let's move on.
All right.
Kaboom!
What's up? So we figured today that we would start in where we are with some Miami news, which is it's got a national implication, but some Miami stuff. So for those of you who don't know, the last election, Dade County went predominantly red, as it's done for a long time. And which is always an interesting scenario as it regards to the makeup of the locale. By that I mean, there's a significant amount of non-white people, there's a significant amount of Hispanic people, et cetera, and other cultures as well. So it's always an interesting dynamic. However, the predominant leaning of the city, I should say, is red. But with that being said, there is Miami announced. So this was like last Wednesday, so whenever you hear this, last Thursday, whenever you heard this, I'm going to quote right now, Miami to cover 1 year of rent and utilities for struggling tenants. Quote, on Thursday, the commission voted to dedicate about 90% of the city's $14 million in federal COVID-19 relief funds to emergency rental assistance that will provide up to $24,000 for eligible households. About $12.7 million will go towards rent and utility payments. Applications are not open yet, but the city is expected to launch a program soon. So this was reported by the Miami Herald. And the reason this is of interest to me anyway is the fact that Miami, as I mentioned, the reason I mentioned the political makeup of the city is that the city is not one that generally supports the idea of taking government money. Or
let's clarify
right?
that.
Okay.
A certain populace within a significantly
the
large
populace that drives
city.
the elections in the state,
yes,
the city.
Because there is so much of them.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Right. So now one would some people may view this as
to clarify. We're just leaving it out there for those of you who don't understand the makeup.
So some people may dub this as socialism, right? I.e., government giving money for social causes, et cetera, which is the at the outset what one would think.
So this is what people would deem as socialism, which is not even socialism, but that's a whole other thing. So in America, we think about socialism one thing, not understanding that's actually, not socialism, because what socialism is actually state-run systems, not just programs, but also the means of production, the media, things of that nature, which we don't have and we won't have here in America. But what we consider socialism is like what Bernie wants: education, healthcare, things we're fine with when we're younger, right? You don't have kids. I have kids that are in private school. We're both subsidizing people, other kids going to school. But that's fine.
No, but it's also funny
but
too,
if we want to cover them for college, that's a different issue.
Well, yeah, and we discussed this as well. The idea of funding of the state or government, in essence, providing funding for stuff. There is no general thought. It's so friggin' ad hoc. It's like, well, schools are okay, but not this. Hospitals are okay. Schools are only okay up to a certain age, then not okay anymore. And while you're doing this, if you can go out and raise money via brownies and this, that, or whatever else, that's cool because we can't give you the money, but we're fine with spending other people's money. You can get donations and that's okay, but the government donates and that's not okay. Like, it's ridiculous.
Healthcare when they're older, or healthcare for the military.
But also, the thing is too, everybody's like, well, God forbid they give us free healthcare. Now, it's always the person, by the way, who doesn't need the healthcare that's fighting that situation. So when you actually need it, you want all the freeness you can have. Because when you go to the doctor and you come back with that bill, I know you're vexed because I am. right? So there's no effing way you're telling me that, you know what, I will pay my fair share and I don't want the government involved. You're a liar, right?
So I would like everyone who's railed against, for example, Bernie or the left for socialism. I'd rather you rail against him for something else, right?
Because it's not
but not something that you may find that is factual, not find that is factual, but to rail against for that, then you know what? Take your kids out of public school.
Literally, yeah. Feel free to Well, people are doing that, and you actually don't do the homeschooling thing. But my point is,
do the homeschooling, do private, take your kids out of public school if you're this vehement and adamant about this.
I mean, do you think anybody's turning down this $24,000 that may come? This
money coming in for rent.
Turn that down. Anybody's turning that down?
Turn that down.
Yeah, they'll use this to buy more property.
Hypocrisy,
as is the case. So. Miami, again, at the forefront of many of the foolish things that will happen throughout politics in our country. And speaking of South Florida as well, Marco Rubio, who is another horrible person along with Ted Cruz, who's got, again, two people I despise. But so Marco Rubio, there's actually an article that's written in The Atlantic, and it quotes the saying that it goes, he knows he's being inscribed as one of the villains of U.S. history, one of the saps and weaklings of the America present. Trapped, helpless, and embarrassed, he seethes with resentment about the predicament he cannot see a way to escape. Because he brought it on himself, and he's an idiot, and I wish him nothing. Good, bad, or otherwise, I just don't wish him anything. However, it's amazing how him and Ted Cruz just keep doubling down on more lunacy in light of supporting foolishness and supporting the quote unquote rigged election. Like foolish things like that are what has brought them down, you know. And again, it's interesting because I don't know them. I didn't really hate or despise them. I don't hate them now either. I just think they're both ridiculous. But I didn't despise them prior to this whole thing of them just coming out and being completely ridiculous. And by the way, Mitch McConnell, you. Oh my God, you were a horrible person to start with. There's actually a great podcast called Embedded. They did a series on McConnell and how he got to where he is, like his whole trajectory. Dude's an interesting character, but what I will say for him is he's very party first, plain and simple. He's about what can I get from more, and he didn't even know where he fell. This was one of these things which happens to a lot of people. What happened with what's his face? VP for Trump. I'm not, good Lord, sorry. VP for Bush #2. Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney didn't really have a direction pro or con by way of politics until he got into it. And then he was like, all right, I'm going to leave the Republican side and then double down on it. Right. So it's interesting how people go this way looking for their step up. Yeah. And that becomes like their base of everything like that. Right. But speaking of Mitch McConnell, so Trump got acquitted. I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. Like, everybody knew it was going to happen. If you thought otherwise, why? And then Mitch McConnell goes in the seething rant after the fact about how Trump is the worst person who's done nothing good. I was like,
heard about that. But
I mean, dude, I was like, yo, you cannot literally ride the fence. Like, this guy is, I mean, you're trying to say that I can't do anything. I
want to say everything in this country is just based on hypocrisy.
But this is so blatant. Like, literally, right after that, goes back and has a seething rant where you voted because the whole idea was you cannot impeach a president who's no longer in office. That was his whole basis for not impeaching, even though the actions happened while dude was in office. So what does one do then? What are the options? I don't know. I'm confused. And I got high pitched for some reason, but yeah. So that dude, but neither here nor there. So those two people are so, and in line with this Mitch McConnell situation, the Georgia prosecutors are opening a criminal investigation about Trump's phone call where he was trying to quote unquote find votes, which, I mean, I'm hopeful, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's going to result in nothing.
All right, you already know that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to nothing as well. So that's kind of the situation there. There's so many. There are so many ridiculous situations there. And then whatchamacallit? I mean, this goes down to Chuck Grassley, who's another that dude.
Who's that?
He's a senator. He's a senator who has been just on the wrong side of history for a long period of time, but right now is going against Biden. He's slamming Biden for ending Trump's created 1776 commission, which we spoke about here as well.
Yeah, pro-white narrative.
Yeah, it's like how dare you squash this where this was doing and representing history appropriately.
This
it's like
representing history appropriately.
Yeah, this was what Trump's whole thing was.
Eliminating the realities of it.
Everything.
The oppression, the slavery, the slaughtering,
so many.
The Negroes of the natives, eliminating that and going back to what, certain history books show the pro-white, the Civil War was not about slavery for the South, despite the fact that I've actually read the Articles of Secession of every state. Right?
What?
Yeah.
You've read them?
Yes. Every single one of them mentions slavery. They're not long. They all mention slavery.
Why did you read them?
Because when you see on the internet that people say, not every state said that, and other people say, I had to find the truth.
So you read them all?
Yeah. By read, it's like a one skim.
Recently?
Within the last 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I can safely say I have not read them.
They all mention slavery. Every single one mentioned slavery. So stop with the bullshit that this wasn't about slavery. It was about state rights. Yes, state rights to hold the slaves and treat the Negroes as lesser people. That was the state right. So, yeah. I mean, so the 1776 Commission was about is anti.
It's whitewashing history.
It was whitewashing history. It's exactly what it was. Yeah.
It's saying
anti-1619 project.
Yeah. It's literally saying, exactly, right? It's going against that, which is just, and I mean, we all know Trump is quite the historian. So following. I can't even make that statement without laughing. But yeah, so this was going on that path that I found very, very interesting. However, there's a gentleman named Fred Eshelman. Sorry, I was trying to find his last name. And so he donated $2.5 million to the True the Vote cause, which was to help fund Trump's mission to find and expose voter fraud as it relates to the 2020 election, which we all know didn't happen based on every independent audit that was done by both parties going forth, where more so than that, it was even dubbed as the most secure election of all time. So this gentleman gave $2.5 million, and literally days later, this is back in November after the election, wanted his money back.
Too bad.
And so they were like, hey, we'll give you $1 million of the 2.5 back. And then, as a settlement. And then he was like, I want to see what you spend the other million and a half on. And they couldn't really give him a record of what that was because it was probably Trump Mar-a-Lago golf trips or something like that. But in any event, so now, so he filed a federal case. By the way, he still doesn't have any money back. He dropped the federal case on 2/1, and so he withdrew his federal lawsuit on Feb 1, and then filed a suit in Texas state court. For the same thing. But I don't, now again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know why I assume it's easier to fight in the state. Why would you drop the federal for the state? But my point is he's still going along with this and suing for his money back while donating to a cause that, I mean,
he's a blinking
just logical
idiot. Well, he deserves to lose the money.
So you know what annoys me with this one? This guy's got $2.5 million to throw away, right? And I don't have that kind of money. And I'm a lot more rational than this individual. So how the F did this dude make this money? But, which only bothers me that I haven't made it. That's all it is. That's just jealousy.
Not yet, bro. Not yet.
That's just jealousy.
Not yet.
But yeah, like there's so many random things like that. And then, Marjorie Taylor Greene is somebody anybody believes in Jewish lasers that are causing fires in California.
Yeah.
The only word I can use here is just idiot. Plain and simple. Now I don't know what public school she went to, if any, but I don't recommend you go to that one. I don't know if that was state sponsored, but you probably don't want to go to that one.
Oh, she also like horrific, sad things. About the school shootings.
Yeah, she thinks it's a hoax.
And organizing and hoax, and
the word hoax. Do people know what this means? You can't just throw it all over the place. Like there's a hoax, right? Is in essence something that was staged, right? So you were of the belief that people said their kids died, got it on the news, got somebody thrown in jail, had all these families want to join in on this conspiracy, if you will, and then come out and only for to change gun laws. That's the whole premise behind this?
I guess that's the conspiracy.
So the people who died, et cetera, like all these things are made up. So you believe that where there's that much of a conspiracy in this situation,
yeah,
right? And I assume it's the same people who figured out the Jewish laser situation, right? I mean, just the ignorance on something like that. That's why people say, so even people say, hey, COVID's a hoax. So again, you believe the whole world decided to shut down their economies so this way Trump could lose an election. This is what you think. Like, think about this logically. You think that somebody down in Jamaica, somebody down in Zimbabwe, somebody in whatever country is like, hey, you know what? America's election is coming up. Let's shut down our economies and kill a couple people. By a couple, I mean many, right? Via this sickness so that Trump can lose. This is our end-all goal. Yay. I mean, just walk yourself through that thought process and see if you are remotely logical in your thought.
Yeah, it's. Ugh.
So, yeah, when people say hoax, people say alternate facts. There's no such thing as an alternate fact. If it's an alternate fact, it's not a fact, and it's wrong. Plain and simple. Right? 1 + 1 = 2, blah, 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 everything associated with that. There is no alternate facts. They're just lies. They're just not facts. They're mistruths. Whatever phrase you want to use, they ain't alternate facts.
Speaking of mistruths, very random, which is what we do. Did you hear about oh my gosh, what is her name? The lady who faked her kidnapping in Jamaica?
No. Enlighten me on this one.
She's a JetBlue.
An American woman?
Yes.
Okay.
JetBlue. I think it's Kalina Collier, something of that nature.
Okay.
So she tested positive when she got to Jamaica.
Okay.
I believe the antigen test, which is the rapid. So they say, let's do a PCR, and they did a PCR as negative, and they did another one. Evidently, 2 out of the 3 tests showed she was positive.
Okay.
So they quarantined her at her hotel.
Okay.
Free of charge.
Okay. I
mean, they kept her, you have to stay for 10 days or 2 weeks free of charge. She went on social media and started saying she was kidnapped and denied access. It started trending everything about this hotel. I just learned about this yesterday. It's all over the news. About the hotel, about the country. So evidently, huge backlash against Jamaica and specifically the resort, cancellations. And then the mom came down and they even gave the mom, free room and board there for a while and then a discounted one. So long story short, she made the whole thing up. It's this entitlement American thing. She made the whole thing up.
Hold on, how did I know she made it up?
She came out, the police came out and said she's not kidnapped. She's right here and she's quarantined per our rules because of the tests. She's in a hotel, not something called hole in the wall, right? She's in the resort. So yeah, it's wild. Her name is.
Wow, that's all I gotta say. I knew nothing about this. I knew, was it? I'm assuming. First, it was in a hotel, and hold on, but because she just wanted to go home. That was the end all be all.
She wanted to travel around or enjoy her vacation.
Wow, entitlement's an amazing thing.
Yes, it is.
Entitlement's an amazing thing. So hold up, and so on other random tangents, I'm just reading here. Amy Cooper, remember her? She was a lady in Central Park who
she
the
got
bird
the case
watching.
Was dropped.
Yeah, the case dropped.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa, I just saw this right now.
Because she took racial sensitivity training.
I'm sorry. I find a lot of these training things very, very, okay, so to your point, I'm skeptical about many things. I'm skeptical about stuff like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's what I mean. When I'm skeptical about certain things, you took
she's
that training.
She's the lady who, she decided her weapon against the black guy, and it's so sickening that and it could have been a subconscious decision, was to call the police for somebody who did nothing, literally nothing wrong, and it was on film. This is not speculation. It was on film. Was fine and respectful and did nothing wrong. She decided to call the police and weaponize that right as a white woman.
Yeah, that woman is,
or that action. I know that despicable right, but that action.
Yeah, that woman is well. I mean, so she's free now. No, she's always free, but now they dropped the charges, so she's good to go.
Yeah. The woman's name is Kalina Collier. The supposed kidnappee.
See, that's crazy on many levels. On more lighthearted levels, though. So obviously the masks have become. Here's one thing, right? I was talking to somebody about the mask situation. So initially the CDC came out and saying, hey, don't wear masks. You don't need masks. They won't really do much for you. Right when this started. Then it became, my bad, wear a mask. Please wear a mask. We didn't tell you to wear a mask before. We thought you'd bum rush the place and get all the masks, which is what happened anyway. And so my bad, wear a mask. And now they're coming out saying, hey, wear 2 masks, right? Right. And I guess maybe somebody who wouldn't wear one now that it's 2 may wear one, which I don't think will be a thing. But why not just make the 1 mask thicker and it makes the same thing? Like, why don't the mask people just make them thicker so you have 2 in 1 and call it a day? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not really a 2 mask wearing kind of dude. But if you made 1 mask thicker, I'd probably still rock it. True. Make it 2-ply like toilet paper.
Yeah, but think about it, you can't sell as many, and you can't make the price double. Subconsciously, you can't make the price double.
No, but you don't have to make the price double. You think you're going out there going, you know what? I got to buy 2 masks right now.
No, I'm a 1 mask.
That's my point. But if they made them thicker, if you're trying to save society, this is the goal. Then fine. The mask company's not going to charge me a couple bucks extra for every mask because there's no 1 or 2. They're all 2-ply. There's all good toilet paper is what you're getting going forward.
Yeah, I mean there's some out there. I don't know.
What, some 2-ply masks?
Yeah.
Ain't no 2-ply mask out there. You're a lying ass.
Seen them.
Bro, they're masks you can put filters in. I ain't never seen a 2-ply mask.
Yeah, but if you can put a filter in there, they have 2 pieces on the front and the back. The filter has a shove in. Right?
That's not a 2-ply mask. It's just a mask with a filter now, dog. It's not the same thing.
But it has a thing in the front and a thing in the back.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not going to lie to you. The way you're describing it, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I found that very, very just annoying, the fact that this is the new, the new claim. But the reason I'm getting the mask thing, so there's a place out in California called Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, right? Which is a pretty dope chicken and waffle joint. There's many out of them in California. And one in LA. And so there's one in Pasadena specifically. So a couple weeks ago, this dude goes in to get some Roscoe's. Now, dude's not wearing a mask, so he was denied service. He was very perturbed by this situation. So dude decides to leave Roscoe's, go get a gun, come back, rob Roscoe's for chicken and waffles, not dollars. Yet again, not wearing a mask. So let's say pretty easy to be apprehended after this fact, right? Dude wasn't the smartest cat, but I just found this to be a very ridiculous situation across the board. And again, a dude just wore a mask, single or 2-ply, he'd have been fine.
It's good food, though. It is very good.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why one needs all that, but yes. So that was, because I saw that caught me off guard, and I thought it was really ridiculous.
What else you got, Amit?
I got the fact that Amazon.com has a section on their site where you can shop Black-owned businesses. So for those of you looking to support Black-owned businesses on Amazon, it's actually I didn't even know it existed.
Is it a tab?
It's like a little button off to the right. I had no idea it existed. Yeah, because, I saw it there because Dominic and I are trying to start other businesses because we have all this time in our hands. And we're looking at Amazon, and that was one of the things that I noticed that I found quite interesting, the fact that even exists, which is a crazy thing. There's some heavy stuff with some prison conversations. I'm not sure if Dom wants to get into that right now or not.
So we just learned, and we consider ourselves pretty well-versed in the industrial prison complex, the judicial system, all the crap we deal with. But
Dom more so than me.
California, we just both learned about this last week. So
good.
You had the notes for it. Wait.
There's notes, and Dom can't find the notes because he refused to use the computer. But here are the notes. I'll read it to you. So California stuff, right? So there's a couple bullet points here. One of the most pervasive, so there's this idea of incentivizing imprisoning people, right? And one of the most pervasive...
county versus state charges.
Correct. So one of the most pervasive incentive issues is that prosecutors are elected and paid for by the county. However, prisons are run and funded by the state. So when a prosecutor decides to send someone to prison, it has no fiscal impact on his or her office. So it goes to the state's budget, i.e., they want to send everybody away for a period of time.
To send it as opposed to jail, and jail is for a year or less. Oh, no, let me rephrase that. Misdemeanor is for a year or less.
Correct.
Typically, you wind up in jail, where a felony is a year or longer.
So it's
so they're
crazy.
Incentivized, literally, to prosecute people to the higher extent so it does not affect their budget. This is disgustingly alarming.
It blew my mind. I had no idea this existed. So there's
been some change, rightfully so, going on with regards to this. But still, it's horrific.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So to expound on this a little more, to expound on this, right? So making things worse, if a prosecutor charges someone with a misdemeanor rather than a felony, the lower charge rather than the higher charge, that person's going to spend his or her time, either in jail or probation. Those are county expenses. So if he's lenient and charges misdemeanor, it gets paid for by the same county that pays his budget, him at this point being the prosecutor. They might not be happy about that, they being the people who are in charge of said budget, i.e. voters, so on and so forth. So charging with a felony, send them to prison, and now it comes off of their books and goes to someone else's. So it's actually politically safer and financially cheaper
to imprison people for longer.
So one may dub this a moral hazard. This is ridiculous, by the way, but this is true. It's crazy.
Sickening.
This
is happening in America, the land of the free.
We've established that that's not the case.
Oh,
I mean, but it's crazy. And then to double that, to speak about that too, there's a gentleman who I just learned about, and I'm gonna butcher dude's first name.
Just call him Ty.
Okay, Ty Lee.
Ty Lee.
Right. So he's a prisoner in Virginia. Right. So he just won a settlement of like about $100K. One of two settlements that were found in Virginia because, and here's the because, which again I think $100K is fairly negligible, but don't get me wrong. So caveat: dude's in prison for a long period of time. I think 50-some years for committing a bunch of robberies and things of that nature. I believe that's the scenario that drove him there. So by no means am I saying this dude should be free or whatever else. Not what I'm saying. But in prison, he was held in solitary confinement for 600 days.
I mean,
600 days. Dude was let out for 2 hours a day, but the rest of the hours he was confined. Again,
he had mental issues.
Days. He had mental issues before.
This is going to exacerbate that just a little bit.
Dude is 28, by the way, right? So he had mental issues before based on a slew of circumstances, and now 600, like, People are bitching about staying in their house with internet and Zoom or whatever during COVID times, and you're whining about the world and you want your freedom and wearing a mask and the whole nine. Dude was in solitary for 600 days. Like, I can't even imagine how you would even be like, you know what? This seems like a good punishment. Like, at any point that anybody in the prison was like, oh, my bad, forgot about him. And you didn't forget about him because you let him off 2 hours every day. You fed him. And you're totally fine just letting him right out for 600 days. And he wasn't the only one, hence the fact that there's 2 cases going on right now. Well, sorry, 2 cases were settled for the 100K. But again, and 100K, by the way, is a penalty for that, which is insane. You're literally driving somebody insane, right? And it's well,
that's a whole other thing that we should dig into personally and learn about and see what people can change is just false imprisonment. You see these people on death row, you see people charged with murder, you see people just even lesser crimes that are in prison for years or decades, and then they come out and they get here's a little bit of money or sometimes no money, depending on the municipality, for being wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's the thing. It's crazy. I'm gonna end on this weirder note. Aunt Jemima has a new name. For those of you who did not know, do you know Aunt Jemima the syrup? It has a new name. Do you know what the new name is?
Something Mills.
It's Pearl Milling Company.
Pearl Milling Company.
Yes, Pearl Milling Company. So Aunt Jemima is now is now Pearl Milling Company.
I'd be curious to know about how that name came about, because that's
how Pearl Milling came about.
Yeah, it's a tricky, like, what kind of syrup you want? Give me some Pearl Milling Company syrup. I mean,
yeah, first of all, I didn't even know it was a PepsiCo company. So just an FYI there, but I don't know the logo. Quaker Oats Commission is a whole, I got to do some reading on this one, but I don't know the answer to that question. However, when I brought this up to Dom as well, so Aunt Jemima was based on the common enslaved mammy archetype, a plump black woman, I'm quoting here from Wikipedia, by the way, a plump black woman wearing a headscarf who is devoted and submissive servant. Her skin is dark and dewy with a pearl white smile. Although depictions vary over time, they are similar to the common attire and physical features of mammy characters throughout history. Go ahead. I don't know why you raised your hand. You raised your hand. I don't know what you're doing there. What were you doing? What were you doing? Oh, apparently.
This guy wanted a time clock. I'm giving him 1 minute.
This guy is raising my hand in prep school. Why are you doing this, right?
Teacher, get a time.
Yeah. So the term aunt and uncle in this context was a Southern form to address use to older enslaved peoples. They were denied use of courtesy titles such as mistress or mister. And I brought this up to Dom actually a couple like last week actually because I was like, why would you put, if you were racist, why would you put black people on the product that you're trying to sell? However, these Uncle Ben's, Aunt Jemima, etc. Except I guess the situation is that white kids were used to eating the stuff that they made.
It's the stereotype an Uncle Ben would be, I'm assuming, the house Negro. You know,
just an older black
and you're
archetype.
used to them as being your servants,
submissive
within the house, and
devoted and submissive servant.
Yeah. So that's why.
All right. Well, now again, new name, Pearl Milling Company.
All right.
Okay. Now, not gonna lie to you, I still bought the product. I probably have some in my fridge right now.
Mind you, it's not syrup. Going into, we spoke about health and another issue. It's actually not syrup.
I mean,
it's check the back. There is no syrup.
There's no syrup in the thing?
It's corn oil. It's.
I'm sorry. What was that word you trying to use there?
I got caught up. I couldn't remember what it was.
What was that word you trying to use there? Were you trying to say hydrogenated?
Yes. It's not actual syrup. Read the back. Mind you, you're buying syrup that's not syrup.
What is it?
All chemicals. It's crap.
What is it?
Eat better.
You don't know what it is though?
No, it's like high fructose. I don't even know if it's high fructose corn syrup. It's some crap. Now you put me on a spot, I can't remember. It's not actual syrup like maple from a tree.
First of all, I don't even love maple syrup. But either way, the point is I've eaten Uncle Ben's and I've eaten Aunt Jemima products. And I've never gave it any thought, But it's just funny to me when I see this stuff and I was like, I just never understood why it would be something that black people why white people would put enslaved black people on a bottle. Like I didn't understand why that was the situation.
And it was actually post slavery though, but yes, it's the same. It was Jim Crow era. It's like it's corn syrup. It's high fructose corn syrup. It's not.
I'm not gonna lie to you. So unlike Dom,
it's cellulose gum, sorbic acid. If I gave you any of those in a shot glass and say, "Hey, take a shot of this," would you? No.
If you called it Aunt Jemima, but if it goes to my waffles, I'm all about that life.
No, but individually, those things you never would.
I don't even know what they are individually.
Exactly.
Have you even seen them individually?
Exactly. But I guarantee you, if I came to you and said, "Hey, here's some sodium hexametaphosphate,"
I'm all about that life.
Take that right now. Take a shot.
But nobody. Okay, but again, my point is,
so why do we put in our food? Why do we put in our belly?
Because it preserves it. Hold up, man. Remember, was it benzoate peroxide? No, what was this stuff?
The red thing?
No, there was this one thing that was like a preserving agent in like every Jamaican thing possible. And I want to say it's not benzoate. It doesn't really matter. My point is there's all these things in every bottle of everything that I look at. The one thing I do look at is sugar. Literally the one, and sodium. I look at two things, sugar and sodium. And sugar meaning added sugar or otherwise, right? And to our point with the conversation a couple weeks ago, whatever, like I will eat Aunt Jemima. I won't do sugar-free though, because that's some Splenda and some stevia, because it tastes really bad.
Okay, the taste.
No, I'm used to certain situations.
I won't do the Splenda, but I'll do the sodium benzoate, sorbic acid, high fructose corn syrup.
I mean, hold up, it's you spend like $30 on a bottle of maple syrup now at Whole Foods or whatever?
No, it's not $30.
It's definitely more than the Aunt Jemima. That's for damn sure. It is. You know that full well. I'm not saying you're eating it every day, but I'm just saying. Do you even eat waffles then?
I'm not much of a waffle person.
Do you make?
I typically what I do if I have waffles or pancakes, I'd put like peanut butter or almond butter.
So okay, hold up. All right, now okay, but why? So peanut butter almond butter because of fat?
Actually like no, just because of taste.
Okay.
Because I tend to, I inherited a crazy trait from my parents.
Okay.
We like to drown things in sauces and stuff. So like,
your parents do that as well?
If you ever see them eat like a waffle or pancake, it's swimming like in a bowl of syrup.
I feel like that's what you did at Roscoe's too, was just syrup all through it.
Yeah.
You put syrup on the fried chicken, didn't you, the first time out, right? But I didn't do it the first time out because I didn't know how you're supposed to play this game.
No, you go all in.
So you just drown in syrup. You butter on there as well?
Yeah. No doubt.
Damn.
No doubt.
But you're not even like a sandwich eater. So all the stuff you're eating here is just condiments.
Yeah.
What about salad?
I become better at not drowning my salads in dressing.
But what kind of dressing are you having?
Sometimes I make my own.
just straight oil and vinegar situation?
No, not even, because then I go crazy. Sometimes just a little sriracha.
Sriracha?
Yeah.
On a salad?
A little sriracha, a little salt.
Again, on a salad?
Yeah.
What kind of salad do you put sriracha on top? You having some spinach and tomato with sriracha?
Yeah, eat salads every day.
But sriracha?
Yeah.
How is that a salad dressing? Hold up. What's even in sriracha? Let's take a step back. I'm going to go on a limb and say sriracha ain't.
Here's the hypocrisy.
Okay.
Though. I know it can't be good. I decide not to look. Because I just want to eat the sausage. I don't want to know what's in the sausage. Right? So, no, I purposely don't look. I'm not eating some kind of healthy sriracha.
Because there is fake sriracha, and it tastes it is fake sriracha. I think it's a Whole Foods brand. They put it in the red thing with the green top and the whole nine, and it's garbage. And you can literally taste the difference. It's like Fruit O's versus Fruit Loops. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same kind of game at all. Like, that stuff is just it's nasty, but it's what people like you on the quote unquote healthier side outside of the world deal with.
It's not as bad. I'm looking at the ingredients.
Of sriracha?
Yeah.
What is it?
The main ones are chili, salt, sugar, garlic. Then you got things, sodium something.
Sodium something.
Sorbate, xanthan gum, that kind of things.
Good Lord, man. Good Lord. I'm going through now. I'm going through our old section, our old little thing here about Twitter and what's happening on Twitter. And I didn't know this, but there's a Cruella de Vil movie coming out, which makes no sense, doesn't relate to this at all. The Amy Cooper thing we spoke about, which is crazy enough itself.
NAACP Representative Benny Thompson of Mississippi, I just saw this in Twitter, has filed a lawsuit against Trump and Rudy Giuliani, accusing them of inciting the January 6th riot and violating the Ku Klux Klan Act. I don't know what that is, but I'm definitely going to look that up later. Sounds curious. Clearly, the lawsuit is frivolous. It's not going to go anywhere.
But that's my thing. Like, dude, bruh, I don't know what's going on. And on the other side of things, and this is a little off topic, but I don't know what's happening here. So you're familiar with Joss Whedon?
Yes.
And you hear he's getting a bunch of flack for the way he treated people, primarily women, I believe, on set, and it's now become a bigger thing than it was always. It's fun. Again, this goes back to the thing. Everybody's now uber sensitive. This was known. These claims have come out before and had been there for a while, and it's been subdued and put down and blah, 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 blah. And now I think her name is Charisma, is now getting more of a voice. But now her other actors coming out in support of her and, and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's like, hey, yeah, we're supporting the cause, et cetera. Meanwhile, these things were known from before, but nobody said anything, right? And now it's a whole situation there where now it's like, oh, well, now we can just pile on, I guess, is the situation. And it bothers me where everybody's happy to work with dude until like now, and it's like, whoa, we can't do this anymore. Because it happened to Armie Hammer as well. Armie Hammer's got bigger situations going on. His agent dropped him in the whole nine. He played the Winklevi twins in the Facebook movie, for those of you who don't know. But he's got like some actual like apparently horrible abuse situations in his past, and that's not coming to the forefront as well. But it's one of these things where you have. Again, I think, well, for the Joss Whedon situation specifically, it's one of those things where it's become people pile on versus giving people credit at the time. Now,
proactively, see Timberlake came out.
Yes. Okay, speak about that. I didn't watch it. Did you watch the doc? This about the Britney Spears documentary.
I won't. I don't care. My wife is watching it. But he came out apologizing
ahead of time.
Britney and to.
Well, you said proactive. You were right. Sorry.
Janet Jackson.
Yeah, because here's what's funny about that. Janet Jackson's situation, people cite that situation for being not downfall, but being a point in her career that started things trending in the wrong direction, which I find hilarious. Only because if somebody would look at that scenario and be like, well, I'm not listening to Janet anymore for whatever reason, I don't even know how you could associate one with the other. Like, I don't know why you would go.
It was almost like we were in conservative times or something.
But I mean, conservative times, have you seen just average music videos back then? I mean, Britney Spears herself out there doing whatever, Baby Got Whatever, all the situations.
But it happened. It's wild.
Right? And then so Timberlake, and then by the way, Timberlake unscathed.
Oh,
he's Tom Brady status, TB12, he's flying. Right, but then he came out and said that I guess he apologized for his part in hurting Britney and
hurting
Janet.
Britney and not supporting Janet because he literally didn't come out. She got all the blame for it.
But he's the one who pulled off her top.
The thing, so I don't know how that happened, but he stayed silent.
White privilege? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, loosely so. It's just, I don't know, not using, and he got knocked for it, rightly so, because he was put himself in the culture, embraced by that culture, and part of everything in the music he did, and he just kind of was like, peace, I'm out. So
I heard that I saw the news and it was crazy when I heard it. Only because, again, he's proactive about this, because he knows he's going to get flack for it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, again, I don't know if he's actually contrite or whatever, but that's irrelevant. My point being, I don't know why we'd want him to be contrite either. Like, I don't know why we need his apology to be hype with this. Like, what is it? Who's he apologizing to?
Yeah,
you can just tell Britney herself what he did me to hear for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do...
Yeah, it's self-serving. You're right. Why public? Reach out to Janet, reach out to Britney's people. Send a nice handwritten letter.
Handwritten note. Yeah. I don't know. Well, that's our hodgepodge to end this episode. This is the Mitt.
This is Dominic.
Be better.
Check out social media, Instagram, Facebook. Get on board. Be better. Justice over order always.
And for those of you who don't know how big Dom is in person, we're going to post some videos of these conversations on the interwebs via Insta and other platforms. So you get to see this amazing high-tech setup we have and how we record the podcast, and hopefully you can, hopefully it'll bring you some levity in your day. Respect for the time. Thank you again.
Cool.